Hello, I'm Steve, and thank you for visiting the Patio Heat channel, where we provide visual concepts of infrared heating as well as tips for ideal patio comfort. Check out our patioheat.com website for sales and more information. Please tap that like button if you find this video useful, as it helps others find our channel. Now let's get heating. Alright, so here we have this residential application, and here we have a jacuzzi area and then a dining space that I placed in this just reclining space back here. And let's go ahead and look at the overall dimensions. Overall dimensions I have here a span of 26 feet by 20 feet and then 9 feet ceiling height. I don't have any locations of lighting or fans or anything of that nature in the ceiling area, so I don't have that to show. So we'll just go ahead and make our recommendations. And first recommendations of two I'll have is going to be the electric heaters. These are Infratech electric C or W 6024, so 6,000 watt 240 volts. You can see there's two elements in here, and so you could use either a simple on-off, a duplex switch, or a control system. I'd probably recommend a control system if this was my house. And the only reason why is because with a control system you can go from 1% on to 100% on. Duplex switch only allows you to go to 50, 100, or off. So just bear that in mind. So here we have the flush mount system. I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and look at the rafter system here and how that would mount inside here. So this is the reason why I have these locations, is based on our estimation where the rafters would sit, and you'd want to place these so that we have a nice crossover ray between the two. You'd build a frame, a wooden frame around the 1 hour fire rated wall, and attach that to your rafter, and then the flush mount frame itself would attach to either that frame. You can screw, drill holes in here, and then screw that to the actual frame itself that you build, and then the heater itself would fit inside of that. So there are instructions on how to do that. One other thing to mention is that the ceiling up here is going to be a tongue and groove wooden ceiling, so it is combustible, and with a combustible ceiling you want to make sure that you drop your heater down to the same elevation as the combustible ceiling, so they need to be at the same height here. And you can see I've dropped that down from the flush mount frame. I've actually taken this flush mount frame and placed it on top of the tongue and groove, or I should say placed the tongue groove below. I left a 1 inch gap, or sorry, it's a 1/2 inch gap between this these vent holes here and the wood structure itself, or the wood finish, and that way you can have plenty of circulation around the heater. That's true on all four sides. Now you can drop these heaters and not use a flush mount frame. That would just bring the heater down about 9.5 inches lower than it shows right now. So there's no problem with that. And then you can also maybe maneuver the heaters a little bit closer. Just a few inches would be probably all you need. So I've located these heaters. Also, I've taken the span of 26, cut it in half, and then placed those within that halfway center mark there. And then this heater here is centered within the span again, and then just making sure that we have the clearance, that we have 36 inch, or excuse me, an 18-inch clearance on the left here, 36 inches below, and so you just want to make sure you meet that clearance. Now I'd recommend placing it out a little bit further to cover a seating space like this. That's why I have it at this rafter location as opposed to the closest one, and plus the closest one you wouldn't have that clearance met. So alright, but you could go out further, I guess is my point. And let's see if there's anything else here. I think that's about it. So let's go ahead and turn that back on and turn the clearances off, and then we'll look at the ray, see what the footprint of heat looks like. So with the footprint of heat, you can see that we're covering this space fairly well. That's why I have those located at the rafter distances that I had, and that way we can get a little bit better coverage here. You can see I'm out here a little bit further than I am over here, and that's just because I would assume that with the doorways you're probably going to sit a little bit further out this direction here. So And then of course the other heater is heating up this little seating space just fine. This is about a 10 by 12 footprint of heat that you're going to receive when you mount these units at about 9 foot off the ground. So there's the Infratech. I think that's all we need to speak of. You can use a 4,000 watt unit here as well, but it just wouldn't extend. This is a place that I think it's pretty cold during the winter, and you wouldn't be able to extend out the season as far as you would with the 6,000 watt unit. But definitely a 6,000 watt unit, I would go with some sort of control, because a 6,000 watt would probably be too warm, let's say like in the 70s, mid 70s for some people. But if you're a really cold person, you would probably want that 6,000 watt even at 70 degrees sometimes. So anyways, let's go ahead and look at the other option. The other option would be going with a gas heater. Gas heaters require clearances because of the fact that there is exhaust that flows up. Now that exhaust that flows up is hot gases. That hot gases rise, and that would fill up this cavity area here. And because of that, you want to make sure you have some kind of ventilation for that heater. Now you might just think that, you know, there's air movement here and that it would evacuate just fine. Well, if it's dead air, there's no movement, then that exhaust gases are going to flow up into this area here and eventually fill up with superheated gases, and may cause the heater to overheat, as well as not allow for the fresh air to enter the heater for combustion. You can see that this is a 9-inch clearance above the heater. This beam here is 12, so that this heater is sitting in there roughly about 3 inches of height. So that would put it, you know, probably about right around here. It's an 8-inch tall heater, and so you're going to be sucking in exhaust gases, which aren't going to always be well combusted. So you want to put a vent up here and then allow it to evacuate into the attic space, and then have an attic vent up here to allow that gases to rise and dissipate into the atmosphere. This would work fine, just that you want to be aware of that exhaust issue. And I think that's about it for that issue. And so here I have them, it's basically centered and then 7 feet apart from each other. So this is the center point, 7 feet, or excuse me, 3.5 feet, 3.5 feet to center. And they're still in the same location here. So I cut this room in half again, and then the center of the heater is in that half space of that half room. This is in the center of the space here, and I've got this heater roughly 24 inches off of the wall, pointed straight down to the ground. The reason I point these straight down to the ground, I wouldn't mount it on the wall, is because once you angle the heater out, let's say, then the exhaust gases flow out of one side, and because of that, you have to lower the heater just for that purpose alone. These are 25,000 BTU heaters, Sunpack S25s, and if you were to compare them with the electric heaters that I had mentioned before, the electric heaters are about 20,500 BTUs, and these are 25,000 BTUs. So they're a little bit hotter of a unit, and they're actually a little bit lower. So you want to keep that in mind. If you're sitting here on a cold, let's say 60-degree day, I think I would be just fine under a 25,000 BTU heater at this mounting height. So let's go ahead and look at the footprint of heat. You can see that we're covering the area fairly well, and we're just missing a little bit of this area here, and that's only based on the fact that the heater is a little bit lower. If I pushed it up, the ray would come out a little bit further, but we don't want to angle that. So you could move it to 6 foot diameter, or 6 foot center to center, as opposed to the 7 that I have right now. But then you have a lot more overlapping, and it might get a little bit too hot at different times. So that's why I chose that 7 foot elevation, or excuse me, separation. And here we just have it centered in the room, and you can see the footprint of heat is fairly well here too. So there you go. All right, so my preferred application, I would say, would probably be the electric heaters, and I would flush mount them if I could, just because the appearance is a lot better. And if you had other items such as recessed lighting or something of that nature, it would just kind of flow with that a little bit better. Let's go ahead and look at that one more time. And there you go. All right, well, I hope this has helped. If you're looking for some assistance with your outdoor heating application and you would like us to review your plans, please send your information to designs@patioheat.com. I'm Steve. Please hit that like button. YouTube algorithms do not recognize our our channel here because we don't advertise, we don't monetize, and the only way we can get our information across to others is by you hitting that like button. So thank you very much. All right, have a great day.